Yes, here's a pretty good representation of it. When they say overwhelmed, 78,000 tests on Saturday, nearly 85 just 2 days later. And then in December, those labs were only seeing about 10 to 15,000 a day. That was even before the Omicron surge. Since the pandemic began, DHEC leaders have been recording the number of people taking a COVID-19 test and how many of those came back positive. Both are higher than ever right now. When people have to wait more than a week for results, it means missing out on work wages, trips, or gatherings with vulnerable family members. In a meeting with journalists today, the agency's public health director reiterated the delay is on the private labs, and DHEC will, quote, hold them accountable. Now, specifically, what are the consequences for not fulfilling the duty set by a contract?
We're having internal discussions about what steps or actions we would take or consider taking.
She says those discussions involve looking at those contracts in great detail.
We're having those discussions ongoing even shortly before this media briefing.
But while what will happen to these labs is yet to be determined, who they say is the biggest problem is clear.
Currently, Premier is the main lab of concern.
We asked Premier leaders what they're doing to fix it, and they say the Omicron surge led to an overnight 400% increase in tests. Now, they hired 250 more employees and spent millions on automatic equipment, but it hasn't been installed yet. They say it was delayed by Sunday's winter storm and staffing issues due to employees sick with COVID. They're installing the equipment this week in addition to generators, and leaders say turnaround times will return to 48 hours within the next week and a half to 3 weeks. Now, Dr. Traxler says part of their discussions they're having right now involve pulling the test from a lab with a backlog and then giving it to one that can handle the turnaround time. That'll have a financial impact because she says the pay that's outlined in their contracts is based on how many tests they can turn.
DHEC is calling these delays unacceptable and says they're working to address the statewide issue in their update posted just this morning. DHEC says labs in South Carolina are falling behind as they're receiving high volumes of COVID-19 tests, and in a statement, it's holding labs and vendors accountable. They say 97% of COVID tests are processed by private labs, and DHEC says they've not met contractually obligated deadlines. And one South Carolina woman, Elizabeth Justice, says the amount of time she had to wait for her results was shocking.
This is probably the third or fourth time I've gotten a COVID test done through DHEC, and every other time that I've done a DHEC test, it's come back, within two or 3 days.
But Justice says this was not the case this time. Justice says she needed a test before returning to work after the new year, as her company was requiring all employees to be tested. She says she went to a DHEC testing site in Florence, trying to get it done as soon as possible.
I went and got tested the afternoon of January 3rd. That Monday, and it wasn't until January 11th, a week later, that I finally got my test results back.
Justice says she didn't receive her results until she reached out to DHEC and the testing company via email asking about the delay. She says her results were sent to her the next morning. I reached out to DHEC today for an interview about the updates they posted this morning regarding delayed results, and they said no. But DHEC will be holding a virtual meeting with journalists Wednesday at 2 p.m. We'll have those updates for you tomorrow on ABC 15 News.
Hey, Andrew, this store behind me and the other grocery stores I stopped by today haven't been as packed as they were last weekend, just because the storm isn't quite here yet. But the people I spoke with say they want to come out and get a head start to get what they needed. Grocery stores and gas stations across our area have been steady with people getting those essentials. But already people have noticed empty shelves.
Bread shelves are almost empty. That's pretty much it right there. Meat counters are empty. So there's a lot of people pulling stuff.
I was going to get some cough drops, not a one on the shelf.
While some are stocking up for a weekend at home, leaders with the American Red Cross want to make sure you're safe too.
So inspecting your fireplace chimney and flue, making sure that's operational. If you have gas heaters inside the house, making sure that your carbon monoxide detectors have fresh batteries. And also just be aware of space heaters.
Unlike last week, people say they're a little more worried about this storm and believe it's better to be safe than sorry.
Storms come and go. South Carolina, we managed to get a lot of ice, not too much snow. Hopefully it don't be too bad, but it's good to prepare.
Just do what you can do and then trust in God.
The American Red Cross also recommends that if you do have to leave your home, to shut off your water valve so your pipes don't freeze while you're away.
So as soon as I retired, I came on board, and I've been working with it ever since.
Debbie Watson was a teacher before becoming a volunteer for the Help for Kids organization. Leaders say 1 in 4 kids in Florence County wonder where their next meal will come from. Watson says she was heartbroken to see the need firsthand.
As an educator, I saw firsthand that children couldn't wait to get to the breakfast table in the morning when they came in off the bus.
But now you can make a difference. For the 4th year in a row, Help for Kids Florence is asking you to donate cans of Vienna sausages for Childhood Hunger Awareness Week. The reason they're specifically asking for cans of Vienna sausages, I'm told, it's because it's low cost and it's easy to transport. Leaders say getting these cans are vital because they say they had problems getting certain food items at one point.
Like the General Foods company, which we get several products from, they had to close down a number of their plants because they had nobody to work.
Before the pandemic, Welsh says they delivered 2,400 bags of food a week. This year that dropped down to 1,800, with some reasons being kids remaining virtual or switching to homeschooling. But while the need has dipped slightly, Welsh says it's far from going away.
This week will keep in people's minds and hearts that our children are hungry and they need our help. And this is a very easy way to do it.
We feel like this is God's work. It's what He wants us to do.